I wasn't here in the United States, I was in Hong Kong, I was in China. Where are my brothers from Hong Kong? Here we go.
Hold it down.
I was getting ready to give a speech to a group of Chinese businessmen and officials. And it was already morning in Hong Kong while it was evening of election day here. And so as I was getting ready and sort of pulling my notes together and just getting dressed and whatnot, I could watch the television results that were unfolding the night before in America. And I watched in the course of the evening as the results started coming in, first from New Hampshire, then New England, and then the Mid-Atlantic states, the South, and slowly but surely it started to move to the West. And I was ready for what was going to happen, but wasn't sure. Never be sure in politics. And then just as I was about to leave my room and go downstairs, I took one last look at the screen, and I happened to have channel surfed to ABC, and there was Charlie Gibson. And by now the exit polls are starting to give them the basis to predict what state is going to do what. And exactly at 11 o'clock U.S. time, East Coast time, when the California polls had closed, Charlie Gibson comes on and says, "We have one more result we can confirm." And so I waited a second, then he said, "Barack Obama is the next president of the United States." So I expected it, I worked for it, voted for him. Even though I expected it, it was still an electric shock. It hit me. Took away my voice. I sat down, reflected on what had just happened. And the one thought that occurred to me that I was able to vocalize in that empty room, by God, we did it. By God, we did it. People were saying it wouldn't happen because white folks would go into a voting booth saying they were going to vote for Obama, but they wouldn't. Or if black folks voted overwhelmingly for Obama, there would be a lot of folks in some parts of our country that would vote overwhelmingly against him on the basis of race. There were people in other lands, people around the world, who were saying America is too divided, it's too polarized. There's too much anger in America for something like this to happen. It isn't going to happen. But it did. It did. And it electrified us that we were able to do this. We had reached this point in our national development as a country, as a society, to do this thing. Yes, by God, we did it. And people flowed out into the streets to celebrate. Chicago, New York, all around the country. Same thing happened overseas. Imagine, in Toronto, in Rio, in Berlin, all around the world, people came out in the street to celebrate something that had happened in America. And perhaps the most exciting city in the world to be that evening might have been in Japan, the city of Obama. There is a city in Japan called Obama. They are now in the process of building a statue to President Obama.
Nice.
And they intend to become the major tourist attraction in all of Asia within the next year or two. And so we did it. And will any of us ever forget when John McCain came out and gave a concession speech that was gracious and brought us all together again. John McCain, who won 59 million votes to Mr. Obama's 69 million. A great man, a friend of mine of 25 years, showed in his concession speech the kind of courage that has been a hallmark of his career. He didn't win, but he knew that a good man had won and America had to come together. That's the kind of John McCain that I wish we had all over the Senate and all over the House as representative of what we need in our Congress. A great man.
Yes.
Senator Obama gave his acceptance, his victory speech. Once again, gave us the theme of the election's over. Now let's come together, America, and move on. It's exciting to me as both an American, a soldier, a diplomat, but yes, as an African American. And what I have to share with you is why it is so meaningful for me. It is because I started out my adult life from a childhood in a country that was segregated, a country that was laden with Jim Crowisms, a country that believed that black citizens were second-class citizens. I grew up in New York City in an integrated neighborhood, a poor neighborhood, but it was integrated. And the school system I went to was integrated, the public schools of New York City. But I knew that once I headed to other parts of the country, there were places I couldn't go, restaurants I couldn't go into, hotels and motels I couldn't stay at. People would look down on me just because of the color of my skin. I was a second-class citizen in my own country, and I knew that. But I had a great opportunity when I went into the military. When I went into the Army in 1958, segregation had only ended 4 years earlier. The country was still segregated, but the military was the most integrated institution in all of America. And the military said to me when I came in, okay, listen, Lieutenant Powell, we don't care if you're black or white, you're green now. Got it? Yes, sir. We don't care that you came from an inner city, poor immigrant family, and woe is you. Say that be a therapist. We don't care. We don't care that you didn't go to West Point or Harvard or Princeton. We know that you graduated from the City College of New York with a solid 2.0 C average. Do we have some CCMO here? We don't care about that. All we care about is performance. The Army is integrated. We are only interested in performance. And as long as you perform, as long as you work hard, as long as you believe in yourself, as long as you try to make this a better Army, then you will do well, and you'll move up. And if you don't, you won't. That's all I could ever ask for. That's all anybody could ever ask for. Given the opportunity to perform. And that's what I tried to do throughout my career. And it allowed me to rise to the top of the military profession as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It wasn't an easy